In July, I recorded this podcast with my dad. I could never imagine back then that this would be our final conversation.
So today's episode is a slightly different one. I welcome onto the podcast my dad, Alan Lee.
Thank you very much.
So how you define success?
People want different things, and some people just greedy, and greed is the enemy. Only about 2 out of all the multimillionaires I've worked for seemed happy. They used to give me alarm codes, keys, and I used to say, change the alarm code. No, no need to do that, Alan. Just total trust, and that's nice.
You must have been programming me since I was a child to operate in the way that I operate.
I've always told you that if you want to achieve something and you believe you can do it, go for it. Whatever it is.
I've never ever seen you go out with the boys or anything like that.
I don't want to go out without your mother.
They say that when a man gets a woman in his life and it's the right one, that she multiplies everything he does.
They send their kids to public school and everything they want they can buy, but the one thing they're lacking is a family meal and love.
I can see, like, even when you talk about her, it brings emotion out of your body.
Yep, and always will.
If there's one golden pearl of wisdom that you could just leave and impart on this audience that would move every single one of them from today 1% further forward, what would that be to you?
And you'll get it back.
So today's episode is a slightly different one because this one is something I wanted to document for the longest time, and I feel like now is the right time in my life to do this episode. So, quick backstory. I've traveled around the world for the last 5.5 years doing this podcast, and I've followed the route to what I believe success looks like. I've spoke to 100 millionaires, the people that are worth 50 million, the people that got $1 billion, the people with multiple companies, this and the other. But one of the things that I've noticed that resonates with me the most as what success actually is someone that embodies, being a father, looking after their wife, looking after their family, having a business, making money, and all that stuff, but embodying the whole package, not just one element of it. And when I got to thinking about who resonates with me most in that area of life, that is my father. So today, I welcome onto the podcast my dad, Alan Lee.
Thank you very much.
And I mean when I said that, because I've traveled around the world, as you know, for 5.5 years. And seeing when I think about success as a whole, people do tend to relate success just to money. Now, you've embodied the whole package. Married for 46 years, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
What do you now? In your 70s, what do you see as success? How you define success?
How do you find success? Everybody's different, so it's not something you can quantify. People want different things, and some people just greedy. And greed is the enemy, really. No matter how much money they get, they're never satisfied. I've worked for many multimillionaires myself over the years, and only about 2 out of all the multimillionaires I've worked for seemed happy. The more they get, the more they want, and they're never satisfied. So if you can enjoy life and be satisfied with what you've got and not aspire to make millions, you'll be much happier.
You say not aspire to make millions. I mean, to be fair, like with the assets that you have on the balance sheet, so to speak, in life, you've kind of you didn't probably strive to do that, but if you added up your assets in your life, you've done that north of. But talk to me about what you believe, what you aspired to when you were growing up, because obviously you came from very humble beginnings, council estate upbringing.
Yeah, well, I had nothing. Simple as that. I left home at 17. I'd got some tools, and that's all I'd got, and a bit of clothing. And nothing else. No money, nothing.
And what did your parents give you?
Nothing.
No self-belief, no...
Oh, I thought you meant financially. Yes, but they didn't really persuade me one way or another. They wanted me to do similar to my father and brother, and that was the last thing I wanted to do, work in a company and be stuck inside four walls day in, day out, doing exactly the same thing. When got my education qualifications, I was given an opportunity for 3 different jobs with 3 companies, and every company wanted to employ me. They all wanted me to work for them. And that's fine if it was going to be doing individual things, but a lot of it was repetitive, and repetitive work would drive me absolutely nuts. Working on machines, doing exactly the same thing day in, day out, 5 days a week, I'd be bored witless.
So you really strive for freedom there.
Yeah, yeah.
So have you kind of designed your whole life around freedom first and foremost?
Not really freedom first and foremost, but try to achieve something with the work that I do. I'm doing lots of different jobs and always working to get on.
When you were living on the council estate, back in, up north in England, and when you live in Scotland, what was the commonality within like the people and the mindset that you saw that you just didn't want to stay with it?
Well, they all just followed what the parents did, whether that's on benefits or the jobs they did. They worked for the same companies, they did the same thing. Totally boring lifestyle, really.
But,
No aspirations to do better.
but how did you free your mindset from that?
Well, I always did feel like that. I never felt I wanted to do that sort of thing. Always wanted to aspire to achieve something, however modest it is, and enjoy life.
Mm-hmm. So you moved to Peterborough when you were how old? 17,
Yep.
and you came here with a bag of clothes and
Few tools.
a few tools. Isn't it ironic how, you talk about you wanting freedom in your life, and it's probably the biggest thing that I've striven for all of my life, and you've seen me travel around the world, and you've seen me strive for that freedom yourself. A bit, that's a similar trait. And also, when I went to Australia, I went there with $6,000 in a bag of clothes, and bought myself a few tools. So we've had a pretty similar start. The 2 separate destinations really put it down. But talk to me about your experience of starting at that 0 point, because I've spoken about on this podcast before, Dad, about how I started at that 0 point, and how you have to go all in and back yourself. I mean, what was that like for you?
Well, it wasn't very easy. It's very hard because you've got to get work, and being self-employed my whole life, you're not working, you're not paid. Simple as that. So you had to strive to do the work. Obviously, work to a good standard. I always work to a high standard, in my opinion. I got my whole work throughout 50 plus years through recommendation. Never had to advertise. Always had lots of clients. In fact, I can even go to clients today if I wanted to. There's clients keep contacting me, wanting me to work for them.
And I mean, to say you were high class in painting and decorating would be an understatement. I mean, you've worked with some of the most prestigious people and families and
Oh yeah,
and everything like that, and business owners, and
oh yeah,
you've looked after some major works.
yeah. Imperial Food and Tobacco, ICI, all sorts.
Yeah, and you
Major financial directors of companies, directors, CEOs, everything.
But the thing is, as well, when I think about this podcast and what I'm doing, and even this one I'm recording now, I see podcasting as art. And I think the reason why you had the success that you did in the trades was because you didn't just see painting and decorating, slapping paint on the wall. You saw it as art as well, and that's why you kind of
Well,
changed it.
the thing I always did, what you'd term as high class domestic. Now that was very varied, so you never get 2 jobs the same, and that's what I liked. It's achieving something special. I worked in various areas of London, Chiswick, Maida Vale, etc., and other areas, and went down to Berkshire and all over the place for the clients. When my clients moved, they asked me to go and do the work for them where they were. So that could be anywhere: Norfolk, Suffolk, easier, all over, because they trusted me, because I was treated very well by them. When I did the work, they would provide accommodation for me and all the food. But the thing is, they could go out in the morning, just say what they wanted doing with regards the job initially. I'd execute that, and they had no hassle. And the other thing is trust. When I went to a property, the only rooms I went into were the ones I was working on, and obviously the cloakroom, but never anywhere else. Never pried or nosed into other people's property, opening drawers and nosing around. And lots of people do that, believe it or not, and steal. Now, the thing is, I was totally trusted. They used to give me alarm codes, keys, and everything for properties. I had properties, millions and millions of pounds. And I used to say, change the alarm code. Make a different one for me. No, no need to do that, Alan.
Mm.
Just total trust. And that's nice.
So how can people build that trust in what they do in their brands and their businesses so they can obviously get these kind of clients that you looked after?
Well, always work to your best of your ability, turn out really good work and do everything right. Do it right, do it once, and don't bodge. I've never bodged in my life. I had people, other tradesmen saying, oh, use cheaper materials, dodge this, cut corners, etc., etc. But I never would. And the ones that practiced that sort of behaviour didn't last very long, because you can rip someone off once, but you're not going to rip them off twice. Not the sort of clients I worked for. If you cheat somebody, they soon realise it.
Mm.
And you don't get any repeat business. I've had clients, same clients, for 50 years. The only way I lost clients was dying.
Mm.
So I didn't lose them otherwise. If they died, then obviously that was the end of the work from that particular client. But then very often I'd work for the wives and things.
But like,
Most of the clients I worked for were male. There weren't many successful females through the sort of 60s and 70s and 80s. I mean, there probably are more now, but there weren't at that time. So all my clients tended to be male, and invariably married. But a lot of those, when they're just focused on making money, their marriages fell apart. They worked so hard, they'd be up early in the morning, they start early, they finish late, they come home, they're still working in the evening, giving their families a great lifestyle with regards to that, but the wives get fed up with it.
so how do you balance having a successful marriage and bringing up children and obviously being present with the children whilst also scaling a business?
Well, it's like anything else. You're a partnership, so you work together. If you work together through thick and thin, through good and bad, you'll get on. But you've got to bond and work together. It's no good one saying, oh, I'm not going to do this. Stuff it. I want to do that. And obviously you can have disagreements and you'll discuss things. We've always discussed everything with regards what we do financially, etc., and work together. It's the way it's gone.
But what's the secret to finding not only the right partner to align with? Like, how did you know that my mum specifically was the one for you and that you would go all in on
Well, it's
that?
rather ironic because I went out with your mother for quite some time prior to getting engaged and married, and I was younger and I didn't feel ready for marriage, but I thought at the time she was the one. And I regretted sort of walking away, so to speak. But then we got together years later, and we got married in October the 13th, 1979. We've been together ever since.
Mm. So you're saying it's an inner knowing that when you're relying with the right person, you just know, your body knows.
Well, I knew that was how I sensed it, really, that she was the right one for me, that we could work together, we could get on and not annoy the hell out of each other.
So what's the key ingredient to making sure that you understand that you're going to be able to work with that partner? Like what is that you're looking for specifically?
That'd be hard to put your finger on it, really. It's just a second sort of sense knowing that they're the right one for you. Everybody's different, so you could say, I want this, but someone else wouldn't want that. So it depends on the individuals, but in the main, if you get on well, you just survive and go through life.
Do you think the times have changed so much now with social media and everything that's going on in this world?
Well, that's a nightmare, isn't it?
Do you think that's what
I'm a total dinosaur with regards to technology, but people are possessed with mobile phones and technology and everything. They can't live their lives without it.
do you think that's what's destroying the modern day relationship?
It's making a lot of problems with regards people being bullied online and all sorts of unpleasant things doing, printing pictures of people that they don't want printing and exposing things that they don't want exposing, and they got all manner of things like that. Unpleasant. If you can't be nice, don't do it, really. There's too many people that are jealous. Anybody that makes success in this country, I've always noticed that people that are successful in this country are revered initially, but then they want to shoot you down in flames. It's like artists, they've worked 10, 20 years, and then suddenly they get successful in either film, pop, or various industries, and initially they're revered. Then the first thing the press do is investigate and see if they can find some dirt and want to shoot you down.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've noticed that 'cause obviously having lived now in 4 different continents and countries, I suppose, I've seen it.
The Americans are probably the ones that are the best with regards to success, because when someone's successful in America, they think that, gee, you're doing great, I want to do great, and then they think something of it. They don't want to shoot you down in flames. They think, wow, he's done it, I'd like to do the same. And you can achieve anything if you want to. You've got to put your mind to it and work to it, work hard.
What made you, was it jealousy that made you go all in on your family? Because one thing I've noticed about when I think about, obviously I've known you for 37 years of my life, right? But I never see I've never ever seen you go out with the boys or anything like that. It'd be like very much like mum and you would have friends together, and there'd be
Yeah.
couples that also.
I don't want to go out without your mother.
Mm.
I love her company so much. We get on so well. So I don't need any other. Well, we have friends, obviously. We're going out for lunch tomorrow, and then various meals in the evenings, and see friends then. But it's not something I'd go out on my own. I don't want to go out drinking on my own or with friends, just sinking pints or drinks all the time. I'd rather socialise with your mother
Yeah.
and friends.
But you're saying, just to take it back as well, you were saying that you didn't feel ready in the initial period for a relationship.
No,
Right. So obviously there's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast that will want to grow their business and grow their brand similar to the way that you did and look after the kind of clients that you did, the kind of clients that I do. They're trying to scale their brands. They feel like they want a partner, but then they probably want the success more than they want the partner in a minute. They don't feel ready.
well, that's the thing. A lot of people get focused purely on business, and they don't want the interruption of anything getting in the way, and they want to be successful. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. And relationships can be annoying with regards some people. They want to focus purely on making money.
I've interviewed a lot of people on this podcast that specifically pursue the making money part of life, and then have the multiple girlfriends and do all that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've always found that personally hard to resonate with, because obviously I see you and mum and how you are, and then I see my sister in a stable relationship and how she is with her husband. And it's like, once you've seen that level of commitment in life, it's really hard for me to kind of look at these other people that have.
Yeah, but other people change their relationship like you change your pants. They're all the while swapping about.
Yeah.
So that.
But that's the pressure I've felt, as like, I felt that internal pressure, because, like, I think about, I would like to have a missus and the right, but I want the right one, and I won't negotiate on that.
Well, you've got to find the right one, because it's an expensive exercise if you don't. Lots of people get married, and the first thing I've heard some people say is, well, if it doesn't work out, we can get divorced. Well, that's the wrong attitude to enter into a relationship to start with. It's not going to work. It's definitely not going to work. If you're thinking about divorce before you're even married, then forget it. Because you should be committed to help each other. If you're not, it's a pointless exercise.
Even though you came from like a underprivileged background in terms of monetary terms and opportunities, what you did have, to your mum and dad's credit, was a mum and dad that stayed together.
Oh, yes, yes. My parents stayed right to the end of their lives.
So, from what you've seen in every era of your life, how important is it that the family unit stays together?
Stability is very important, and both parents. A child needs a father and a mother. You get different aspects from each parent. Love from both parents, but support in different ways.
So obviously, look, some people aren't as lucky and as gifted as what I've had in my childhood, where my mom and dad have stayed together. I couldn't imagine you two not being together at any point in my life. I've never seen, like, not been any arguments, not been any animosity, in that kind of stuff. You had very different roles in my life and played very different parts and very different emotional support levels. But there's going to be a lot of people that listen to this podcast out that don't have that and that haven't been lucky enough to have that. What would your advice and guidance be to them if they perhaps feel like they've not had that part and they need it, but they don't know what to do, and they perhaps hold some animosity towards some people?
It's difficult to say. I mean, it's you can't govern other people's feelings and the direction they're going. Unfortunately, if you're not given reasonable guidance, you can go down the wrong path and really end up in serious problems. A lot of people end up in prison because they've just not got the guidance. It's not that they're bad people, but they get in with the wrong group of people, and a little bit of this leads to a little bit of that, and before you know where you are, you're taking the easy step to get money, and it can be very dangerous. You can end up being arrested for various offences and prosecuted.
I mean, I think you are exactly what you're surrounded by, and it is very clear to me growing up. Like, you had a conversation with me when I was younger and said, "Hey, I don't suggest that you drink." I mean, I remember the conversation. I think you said to me something along the lines of, if you drink before you're 16 years old, me and you will have a problem, kind of thing. And if you want to have a glass of wine with a meal after that age, you can have it at the table. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of.
Yeah, I think it's better done as a family rather than surreptitiously. So many kids these days, they're going out getting bottles of vodka and various spirits and things and drink themselves to total oblivion. They don't realise they're damaging their internal organs, they're damaging the brain, and they're doing themselves no end of harm physically. Initially, because they're young, it won't show. But as you get older, you'll get problems.
Did you ever have any problems with alcohol when you were growing up?
No, never.
What persuaded you to be? Because I will see you drink a glass of wine.
Oh, I like a drink. I like beer. I like real ale. I like wine, I like various spirits, but I know when to stop. I have one or two to enjoy. I don't just keep going.
But where you were brought up, that it would have been common in that area to abuse alcohol.
Oh yes, my father got drunk numerous times, and you never knew what you were going to come home like. If he was, say, in the club and playing a one-armed bandit, which he did frequently, he'd get paid on a Friday. My mother would have a modest amount from him to run the home, and that was probably less than a quarter of what he earned. He was in a really well-paid job, one of the highest paid jobs in the area we lived in, and he'd blow it. He'd go out Friday night and drinking and playing one-armed bandits, and Saturday, same sort of thing. By Sunday lunchtime, he was broke. He'd spent it all treating people to drinks, and you're always very popular when you're buying somebody a drink. You're a great friend then, but immediately the money runs out, they run out as well.
What did that teach you about money when you saw that?
Well, he gambled, he'd bet on horses, bet on dogs, one-armed bandits, I say. It made me totally the opposite with regards gambling. I never gamble. I've never gambled in my life because I've saw what it did to him, really. And it was many, many decades before he literally ceased. He was retired before he'd literally stopped abusing himself that way and spending money. It's horrendous. He'd come home, if he'd played a one-armed bandit and won, he might come home happy. I might even get half a crown. Couldn't 12.5p. But if he'd lost, he'd come in and he'd be grinding his teeth and he'd be nasty and start arguing and shouting at my mother. I used to hate that. He'd come home, as I say, and cause chaos. And it's ridiculous. And Monday, when he got to go to work Monday, I say he'd spent all his money by Sunday lunchtime, and he'd say, like a big kid, I'm not going to go to work unless you buy me a packet of cigarettes. So my mother would have to give him 5 shillings, which they were at that particular time, 25 pence, for 20 players' cigarettes. Otherwise, he wouldn't go to work.
And earn money for that.
And earn money for the family. It's just ludicrous. So when you've seen that and experienced that, it puts you off lots of things. It really does. It makes you think twice. I worked in amusement arcades when I was a teenager, and I did quite well in there because I used to run bingo, fascination, roundabouts, all sorts of things. And each operation I worked in, and I was only a teenager, mind you, I made them more money. And the managers of the other sections in the amusement arcades would get bonuses for making a better profit for the company. And I approached the Brown Brothers, it was at that time, that owned 2 big arcades in Bridlington, and said, I wanted a bonus. And he said, well, you can't have one. I said, why not? I said, I've trebled the turnover on fascination. I've more than doubled the income on roundabouts. And likewise, I've trebled the income on bingo. I think I'm entitled to it. And he refused to give it to me.
How did you treble and double the revenue of those businesses?
Well, I used to do 2 and 3 tickets in one game. You say, people, would you like to win 2 tickets? Pay double the money. You pay a shilling or whatever. We have a game and you get 2 tickets instead of 1. And the fascination, same thing.
So you were on the upsell straight away.
So it was the best way of making more money. So he used to do that when he was really busy. You'd do double games, treble games, and it didn't matter handing out 3 tickets because you'd got 3 times the money. So that was covering it. and that increased the turnover.
How old were you when you were doing this?
Probably 14 or 15.
So this was your first real understanding of sales, upselling people, getting people to buy more products.
Yeah,
It was your first kind of
Yeah.
insight into
Yeah.
the direct response type, making people move money.
yeah,
Yeah, because the thing, the thing I respect you for a lot of things, but one of the things that I respect you for the most is you have a lot of rules around life and how you move in life and what you will and won't accept for your family and how it will be. One of the rules that I only cottoned on to actually that you launched in our life, and I only realized the impact it had literally probably last year or a year and a half ago when we were talking about it. But we were talking about some topic and you said to me and we were talking about someone else getting childminders for their children.
yeah.
And you said to me, how many childminders did you have when you were a child? And I thought about it. I thought, I don't think I've ever had a childminder. He says, yeah. You said, yeah, I would never, ever in a million years allow anyone other than the family to look after my children.
No, we didn't.
What can you explain your reasoning on this and the way that you
Well,
articulated it?
it's simple. You just never know what the person's like, do you? They might seem very pleasant, but there's quite a lot of people that do child babysitting and things and molest the children.
And you
And the last thing I want to do is go out, leave my children with someone, and have them molested, sexually assaulted, and tampered with. It ruins your life. It literally impacts you for the rest of your life. You look at the number of people that have experienced sexual exploitation, etc. In this country, there's thousands and thousands, and they're not believed, and they're treated like criminals. They let the people get away with it, and that's totally wrong. You can never be sure 100% that someone is absolutely fine. You can meet people and they're very pleasant, etc., etc. But you really don't know what they're like till you're within four walls and watch it. It's like a fly on the wall and see what they behave like.
one of the rules in our family, like I said, is that like, you and mum looked after us as children and wouldn't send us to anyone outside of grandparents for any time, any sort of time. We didn't stay over people's houses because obviously you didn't want anyone to be able to have access to us.
No.
You
It may seem selfish and denying you in some ways with regards going to friends, etc. You could go to friends, but we didn't want you staying over anywhere because we couldn't be 100% certain that you'd be perfectly fine. And that the remotest chance that anything nasty could occur, that's it.
But I've seen you operate the same policy with the grandchildren, and I've never seen them do any overnight stays, or they won't do any overnight stays. They won't things, and I just think it's a very. I wanted to talk about that particular rule because there's many parents of this podcast that do business that put their children childminders.
Well, a lot of people haven't got any choice, and if they've got somebody really reliable, I suppose that's okay. But it just was never an option I wanted to exercise for the reasons I stated.
Yeah, but you say there's no choice, but there is a choice because you know how hard it was for you and mum at times when
Yeah,
you sacrificed money and sacrificed revenue to make sure that happened because you were non-negotiable on it. So what the reason I'm saying that and I'm going in on that is because like there's some people that listen to this podcast that should sacrifice revenue and should sacrifice money for the sake of
yes.
it.
Well, it's not something a lot of people are prepared to do.
No, but from I just want to say from my point of view, I don't believe that I would have the self-belief and the undeniable force of nature that I have within myself if I hadn't have been protected in the ways that I didn't even know I was being protected as a child.
Yeah,
Is that fair enough?
yeah.
because you must. I mean, me and my sister are totally different characters. I mean, she's
Well, you like chalk and cheese, aren't you, really?
I mean, we got one that's like, you know, a couple of miles down the road from where we are right now, and it's probably lived in the vicinity of 6 miles from their house and been around here every day, you know, since, well, for 40 odd years really. And then you've got one that's obviously like, you know, gone out, traveled the world, lived in 4 different countries. Talk to me about that dynamic as a dad. Like, when you're bringing up 2 children that are vastly different, how do you support the dynamics to make sure that both flourish in their respective ways?
Well, it's trying not to impede them in what they want to do. I never would say to you, don't do this, as regards aspirations to achieve travel or success, because it's totally wrong. If I denied you and say, no, you can't go, it's totally wrong, because you'll live your life and subsequently down the line, you say, I wish I'd done that. I shouldn't have listened to him. I should have done that 20 years ago, and now I can't.
There's 2 moments in particular that's relevant to this podcast, particularly this podcast in my life, that I remember where you've actively encouraged me to, like, fully, which, you know, and probably it wasn't always comfortable for my mum at the time, but, you know, to leave this country,
Yeah,
you actively encouraged that.
I would, even more so today. It's dire. This country's gone totally down the toilet. Totally.
Why were you so adamant on me going to Australia when I suggested it? Because I wasn't expecting you to be so.
Well, it's a land of golden opportunities, really. It's a wonderful place to live and work. So many more opportunities out in Australia than here. It's I'll say that success in this country is not really appreciated. People go down on you, and you don't want that. Whereas I'm sure in Australia you can get out there and enjoy it and be successful and make money.
Well, the Australians have always really embraced me, and you know, I've got a lot of large Australian listenership with this podcast. I'm sure many of them will watch this, and I've always been supported out there. Kind of,
Yeah.
I've always felt like that. Whereas when I come to England, I don't really feel, outside the family unit, I don't
No.
feel like supported.
No, I totally agree. That's what I say. It'd be much better opportunities and a better style of life. We've got friends that their sons have emigrated years ago, and they live and work in Australia, and they're doing absolutely phenomenally.
So what would your advice be to, like, anyone that's listening to this that's like 18 to 25 years old?
Well, if you want to travel and see the world, you must do it.
Regardless
you've
of
got-
what their parents say.
Well,
Because like, parents,
you've got your life to lead. We're leading our lives, and we've led our lives in the way we want to. It's not fair to oppress a child saying, no, you can't do it.
But some people don't oppress a child by saying, no, you can't do it. They put limiting beliefs in their head.
Well,
Because,
that's foolish.
which goes on to my second point. When I don't know if you remember this, but I remember this. When in 2019 I came back to the UK, just before COVID, I came back in that was like June to September period, and I was stressed out because I was doing well, I was earning money online with content removal, etc., and I went down in my frustration while I was in the family home just down the road here. I went down stressed to the spare room in your house, your home, and
Hello.
yeah, well, yeah, our home, yeah, my home as well, I suppose. I went down there in stress, and I opened up the laptop and I recorded the first episode of the podcast. And I remember when I recorded, I called it 2020 Vision, right?
Yeah.
This first episode of the podcast. And I remember coming up to the kitchen to you, you know, and I said to you, hey Dad, I've just done this podcast.
Mhm.
You asked me what a podcast was. I told you, and I told you what I'm doing, and they said, I said to you, I I I believe this is my thing. This is it. This is it for me. I believe I've just found my thing. You looked me in the eyes, dead straight, and you said to me, you know what? I could see you doing that. You should go in on that, you know? Now, that was a powerful maneuver for me
Mhm.
to give me permission to go all in on that. Because many people's parents would say a statement at that point in time that would disempower their child, unbeknownst to them,
Yeah.
as to not push through. But but what you seem to do with me is I seem to say some stuff, whereas if I said it to my mum, or she could perhaps potentially like clip me wings a little bit, but not intentionally, but just
Yeah.
because you understand,
Worried about you.
she's worried, right?
Yeah.
But when I say things that might seem outrageous or outside the box with you, whether it's about property, whether it's about buying a car, I remember when I bought my first sports car, all the different stuff that was outside the box of my normal realm at that particular time, you'll always actively encourage it. And that makes a big difference in someone's life. And the reason I'm explaining that to you, I wanted you to know that because I really appreciate that from you. But the reason I'm telling the audience that is because if you don't get that from your parents, that's fine. That's just a point where they perhaps can't see what you see. But it's important that when you hear that, there's two things. One, don't judge the parent because the parent's only working with what they know in the time they're in with the knowledge that they have. So don't judge the parent. But the second part of that is you shouldn't take that on as your belief if that's your parents' limiting belief.
Mm.
Because, that holds you back in life. I wouldn't be sat here doing this podcast with you right now, and I wouldn't have done 5.5 years of
Well,
podcasting if you'd said something different to me.
I've always told you that if you want to achieve something and you believe you can do it, go for it. Whatever it is. If you try and fail, at least you've tried. But if you don't try, you'll never know.
But how did you subconsciously condition my mindset to do, like, you must have been programming me since I was a child to operate in the way that I operate. Otherwise I wouldn't.
Well, I've always told you not to believe that you can't do what you want in life. You just go for it.
But when you say always, like, what age did you start telling me that?
I've always told you that.
What, ever since, what, even before I could speak?
Right from a child. Don't accept things from other people. If you want to do something, you do it. As I say, if you go for it and fail, it didn't work, but you've tried. And very often, the first thing you try is not successful. But you shouldn't let that put you off trying something else. And you don't want people to say, oh, well, that was a waste of time. It might well have been to some extent, but you'll have learnt something from your experience of trying, and you'll alter the next time you try to do something. You'll do it in a different way. And then hopefully, maybe second time, you'll be lucky, might be third or fourth, could be even fifth. But don't give up.
What do you ultimately see me doing?
Ultimately, see you doing.
How could I, like, if you were going to say, hey, Frankie, this is the best way that you could impact the world with what you do, what would you see me doing?
Well, I think you're doing well with the podcast, to be honest. And your business, other business, your internet removal business, that helps a lot of people getting sort of things that I mentioned earlier that happen to people, that get unpleasant things published and put online. It's a nightmare. It's a minefield out there.
But but I feel that I'm still way, way under my potential in life, way under.
Well, you just got to keep striving.
Yeah, I know. Because I also,
Work for it and you will achieve.
it's funny because we always have these serendipitous conversations, and it always happens at similar time. But about a year ago, or probably about a year ago, last summer, you came running across the driveway to me to tell me in no uncertain terms that I needed to start creating more content on my own.
Yeah, and putting it out.
Why?
Well, to be successful, really.
But why did you see that? Why did you see that?
Why did I see that? Well, I think doing your own thing is better than doing someone else's. And then that makes you individual and aspire to greater things.
Because I was stressed. I think you could see I was probably stressed that I wasn't. I think you see I was stressed, but it's kind of like that you had this vision and you told me this vision. Yeah, I'm not going to quite share the vision because I want to go and do the vision before we share that part. But you shared with me a vision that you had on what I should do and how I should do it, and I'm really starting to embody that now.
Yeah, it's good.
And but I want to understand how you see it ahead of time, the way that you see it, in the detail that you see it.
It's just experience, really. In life, you learn as you're going along. You make a lot of mistakes in life. You get a lot of things right as well. And the mistakes you hopefully learn from, and that gives you that experience and foresight, because you can look at a situation and know that that's going to be awkward, to say the least, or dire, and so you withdraw from that. It's like relationships. Very often parents will get people brought home by sons and daughters, and the mother and father will sort of look at each other and think, well, they're not right. But you can't say anything, because if you do, it pushes them the other way. You tell them you can't go out with that girl, you can't go out with that boy. That's like a red rag to a bull. They will, and they'll do exactly as they want and make a mess of it into the bargain. But that's it. So you have to go along with it and hope that they don't take too long to realise that they're making a blunder.
I kind of feel like that's similar to obviously my relationships that I brought home here.
Well, it's
Did you know from day one that like even the last relationship, did you know from day one that it wasn't for me?
yeah, it's just an instinct.
See, I would love to learn that. 'Cause it
Yeah,
would
it's just
save
an
me a lot of
instinct.
time.
Well, say it's experience of life. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've got your mother, and she's absolutely wonderful. So can't better her.
I can see like even when you talk about her, you like it brings emotion out of your body. Do you know what I mean? Like you've always loved her.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I always will.
yeah. So I think that's the most beautiful thing. And like I was saying to you before in this podcast, it's like when you've seen that level of love and admiration for each other that you both have, it's so hard to not follow that path yourself. So like there's a clear process to me that has to be followed in order to have success in a relationship. You and my mum embody that. My sister embodies that with her husband. It's like my whole reality.
Yeah, but she had some duds to start with that we didn't really.
Oh, she only dated 2 people before her.
Yeah, but long term, and it wasn't. We knew neither was right, but you couldn't say anything because I say it sends them the other way. And then the second one was a control freak, which we weren't aware of. And if I'd known that, I'd have punched his lights out.
Yeah, you know. Okay, well, I think you and me both on that one. But you know, but in saying all of that, went down the path, found and then reverted to what she knew and found
The right one.
because yes, but very much because of she was shown within her childhood of what stability looked like, what unconditional love looked like, what safety looked like. how she should be treated, because you got to understand, a woman is first taught her relationship with men from her father, right? So how you treated her set a precedence in her life that she couldn't unsee. So that's why she's treated in the way that she's treated now, and she has a golden life, and she's well looked after. And the part that she,
Yeah, but all women should be respected and treated well, but unfortunately they're not.
but that's what I'm saying. The reason I brought you on here is not just to talk about our story, but what I'm trying to show throughout this conversation is, like, first thing, if you're not lucky enough to have a father like mine, like you, then I want them to be able to use your tools and your knowledge to be able to have that in their life through this podcast. But also understand that if you carry any animosity towards any parent or any person, especially a father, it will separate you from what you actually want. Because what I'm noticing in this reality right now, especially with women, what I'm noticing is that a woman will want to be loved, but because she felt disconnected and unloved from her father, she now is unable to
They
love.
can't relate to things.
She can't relate to things.
No.
So you've
Lots
just
like that.
you've just you witnessed me. Obviously, I've been broken up for over a year now with this girl, but you witnessed me give unconditional love to a woman that didn't even know how to take unconditional love because she hadn't been shown it by her father, and she came from that broken environment. So and they want it, they do want it, but when they get it, they shit
They
themselves.
don't want to do it.
And they don't know what to do with it because they've never had that. They've always had to
No.
do something to get love. I think that's very. I mean, it's very important that we talk about that as a society and in this conversation, because it's like your parents, whether you know it or not, everything that you do in your business or your life is predicated on the conditioning that your parents gave you from 0 to 8 years old most, and then from like 8 till 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Everything comes from your childhood.
Yeah.
Right? Everything I do, all the drive that I have, this, that, and the other. Like I used to have a big chip on my shoulder, as we both are aware. I was trying to prove something to you, particularly. I was trying to prove that I was like good enough, and that I was. I don't feel like I needed to prove that because I've healed that part of myself now. But I always felt a chip on my shoulder. That's why I probably went into like, was around boxing and why I've done what I've done in life, because I had a little bit of not needle with you, but I just felt like I wanted to prove something to you, like I could do it. I'll smash this. You know what I mean? Now I don't feel like I've got to prove anything to anybody. But we've had conversations since that time that have allowed me to like free that part of yourself. So you've got to be able to have those conversations with family. But my point being, once you understand that everything comes from your childhood and the way that you've interacted with your parents, you can start understanding where you're feeling lack in your life and why you're operating. Because people might be here going, "Hey, I'm all in on business. I'm all in on making money." Yeah, but you've got crap relationships with your family. You've got crap relationship with your son or your daughter. You're not giving your wife time and wondering why your relationship's breaking down, which is going to lead you to even more unhappiness, which leads you to repeating a cycle you said you wanted to get out of.
Well, let's do it. I've had clients that have been married 3 times,
Yeah.
and it's cost them a fortune every time.
Yeah. How do you? Because like, obviously with me and my sister and the grandkids, you wouldn't trust anybody with them. Like outside the family unit, we've already discussed that. You wouldn't, right? I'm agreeing with you on that. But how did you learn and give unconditional trust and love to my mum? Like, so that because obviously you got married. It's very dangerous these days for a man to get married, especially if you think about me and my assets at my age, right? If I just go and get married to some random girl just because she's good looking, I could lose half my assets in 12 months. Right?
Yeah.
So how did you know that like, how did you get the trust level that you got with her?
That was easy. I just trusted her because she was trustworthy, and you can sense it. Never wanting things all the time, and prepared to share. And when you're prepared to share and work together, it works out.
But what I noticed in my childhood was like, well, mum didn't have to work, did she? If she didn't want to, like,
No.
you Like,
We struggled. I mean, don't get me wrong, we didn't have it easy. And your mother, whilst not going out to earn money, she worked very hard
yeah,
and did all sorts of jobs, multitasking, really. I mean,
yeah,
I go out to work and earn some money, but your mother's doing multiple tasks,
yeah.
looking after children, looking after the house, cooking, cleaning, etc., etc.,
But
gardening, all manner of jobs.
but we're taught in our reality now, Dad, that you know, wanting to look after a woman and wanting the woman to stay at home is disempowering. Now we're taught that.
I'm not saying you have to make them stay at home. I mean, if they've got a career, then it's fine that they go out and engage and do that. I've had clients, the husband stays at home and the woman goes out to earn a living.
I think that's a little bit. I think that's a little bit
Well,
wrong, if you ask me.
no, it's not wrong. Why is it wrong?
But
If they can achieve what they want as a family
yeah, who am I
unit,
to judge? Yeah.
why should someone say that's wrong?
I mean, I couldn't do it.
Well, maybe not, but some people can, and quite successfully.
I suppose. I suppose. Just for
I
me.
think throughout life, I've never judged anybody with regards that sort of thing. If they want to
Okay.
do something, do it.
How do you? Because I'd like to know this from you, from your experience. But how have you learnt? Because it is learnt. Because you're not born with this ability. How have you learnt not to judge others and just to focus on your own grass? Because sometimes I get caught up in looking about what other podcasters are doing. There's a lot of people that will listen to this conversation that will look at what other people are doing.
Yeah, well, just let them get on with it. They do what they want to do. You do what you want to do,
Yeah.
and you don't have to pay any attention to it. You don't think, oh, they're better than me. As far as I'm concerned, no one's better than me.
Right. Okay.
Everyone's equal, in my opinion. I don't care what you do for a job, whether you sweep the streets or you're a chief executive of a company, each person deserves respect.
Yeah.
And I've always given that to anybody. Never look down my nose at somebody, ooh, they're a bit of old rubbish, aren't they? They're not worth it. You give people respect. If they don't give you respect back, then fair enough, but you just walk away.
What's some of the best advice that you've had from the top entrepreneurs and brand owners and celebrities and people like that that you've met in your life?
Best advice. Can't really put my finger on any one thing. I mean, it's just down to you, really. Down to what you want to do and how you want to do it and how you want to achieve it. You can tell people various things. You say, do this way, you'll get it right. Do this way, you'll get it right. And it works, but not always.
You said something simple the other day to me in the kitchen. We were talking about business, and you said to me, just repeat what works
Yeah.
and keep doing that. And don't fall for any
Do what you're good at and follow that. Because if you change and do things that you're not really competent and aware of, you get your backside kicked. If you're good at something and it makes you a good living, follow that and do that to the best of your ability. If you then make money at that and invest in something you know nothing about, you'll lose it.
I mean, you took your earned income and turned it into majority property
Yeah.
because you saw a way to add value to buildings. You saw that as your best method.
Yeah, I missed an opportunity of being a multimillionaire. Many years ago, there was an investment fund put into properties, and a house that had no kitchen, damp proofing, or decent windows. If you bought that for anywhere from £1,200 to £2,000, you get what they termed as a grant. And you could use that grant to help the refurbishment. Then you could sell it straight away and you didn't have to pay the grant back. So it was like a license to print money. And I saw 9 tradesmen buying houses, 3-4 terraced houses for £800, £1,200, £1,500. And immediately you got the grant, it more than doubled the value of the property because you got thousands of pounds for each one. If it was below a certain rateable value, you got the grant. I had one client, funnily enough, lived in this village. He was a former mayor of Peterborough, and he was going to finance me, only to sounds modest sum these days, but £3,000 is all I needed. But I was 17 at the time. The bank wouldn't give me the money, even though I explained it regards the grants. If immediately we got the money to buy the properties, we got the grants, so their money was safe. But I hadn't got the collateral to put into it. Then this client was going to back me. He thought it was a good idea, but then he changed his mind and went into a tailor shop instead.
So the key insight here is that, like, you've got to have access to capital.
Well, you've got to, yeah. You've got to either have some capital or you've got to be able to acquire it. I mean, I had clients, multimillionaires, one of them particularly, who's Imperial Food and Tobacco, chairman of the company, and he said money's just a tool. It's easy to get hold of it. He said, if I pick up a phone and want $500,000, I just pick up a phone, say, want that, and I can get it. I said, yes. And I could phone exactly the same person. There'd be 2 words he'd say to me. One would end in off, and the first one would begin with F. Because you've not got the
Network.
track record for the finance. These people that are in that way of life, they make money easy as wink. One bit of information that he received when he was working for Imperial Food and Tobacco and organising that made him £12 million overnight. 12 million.
Well, this is why.
And that was years ago. And 12 million is probably worth probably 100 million now.
Well, that's essentially why I travel the world and build network, because network is how you raise capital. It's how you exit businesses and sell. It's how you acquire businesses. It's how you acquire talent for your business. It's everything is the network that you have and your reputation, that where people, with you and your business, your reputation precedes you. I mean, everyone that knows I'm your son or this, that, and the other, about whether it's you or my mum, they speak about you in a positive light, and they know you because of your reputation. Your reputation is your only currency that you have, and it precedes you. So you want to use that to access as much capital as possible. But if you're someone who's in business, or you listen to this podcast or whatever, and you want to access more funds or have the ability to sell your company, you need to build your reputation online now. Because more people need to know who you are.
Yeah, that's the way forward with regards to technology and business. Yeah, you've got to do it.
But if you were going to give your ultimate timeless piece of wisdom hack, so to speak, in terms of like, okay, how do you take earned income and turn it into more money, right? Would that just be property for you?
It'd be, once again, it'd be invest in something you know something about. Because if you invest money in something you don't know anything about, you might be fortunate and make money. You might just be lucky. But the majority of times, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
So if you stick to what you know, you'll be more successful. That might seem silly, just focusing on one particular thing. But at least if you focus on something you're totally aware of how it operates, how it generates income, you'll make money. But if you focus on something because it looks like it's a real good deal, anything that looks too good invariably is, and you'll lose.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there just selling the dream tickets, lottery tickets.
Oh yeah. You'll have people conning you left, right and centre. If you've got money to throw around, they'll take an opportunity, and they're very convincing. These people, fraudsters, are brilliant at what they do.
How do you differentiate between, like, what is a good investment to save you time, and what is like a place where you should save money, so to speak? Like,
Well, if you're investing, you want to be investing in bona fide, genuine companies, and not making claims like you're going to get 65% profit in 6 months.
yeah, yeah,
Because anything I'll say that sounds too good to be true is. So if you invest in a company that's genuine and a good investment company, and spreads your investments over a range of products or companies rather than just one thing. Because if you invest in one thing, if it goes belly up, you've lost a lot. But if you invest in 15 different companies, 12 of them might be really successful and make you money. 3 of them might lose. But the ones that make it worthwhile. But any investment, if you buy stocks and shares, you can make an absolute killing, but you can equally lose a lot of money. And some of that's down to luck.
So the key thing that they should ask before they make any investment is, is this my field of expertise? Is this
Well,
my niche?
it's one of those things. As I say, if you invest in something and you really know nothing about it, there's very little guarantee that you'll make any money. You'll invariably lose it.
They say in all, even all the religions and all the esoterics and everything, they say that when a man gets a woman in his life and it's the right one, that she multiplies everything he does.
Yeah, if you have a good woman at the back of you, it can be a great help for success. I've had lots of clients that have been really successful because they've had a very good supporting wife and encouraged them to achieve.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's what separated you?
How do you mean?
Well, that's what's made every part of your success. You think this was a good woman? Behind
Oh, yes, definitely. My mother, yeah, for me, works for me, and it's worked for other people. But I say, when it's one person going out earning vast amounts of money and nothing else, they sort of take their eye off the ball with regards to family. They're providing for them financially, but that's all. I've had clients that they send their kids to public school and everything they want they can buy, and but the one thing they're lacking is a family meal and love. They don't know what it is. I've seen clients where the children have never sat down and had a meal with the parents. I used to take my lunch in a box for eat on site, and I'd have children say, "That looks nice," and you sit and chat to them, and that's the nearest thing they get to any association with an adult. I've had people come in, dash in, cremate the lunch for the children, and then take them back to school, and then they're off playing badminton or tennis or something.
And it's funny because, like, they note that those children of those clients noticed the meal because the meal was made with love from the mum.
Yeah.
So and when things are made with love, people notice them.
Yeah. I used to get kids that would rather have my lunch than what
Or their parents.
they were being given.
That's so true, because I don't remember many, if not any, nights where it was 6 p.m. was our family dinner time, and it was me, it was Caroline, it was you and Mum at the table,
and sit down as a family.
We'd always be home, the TV would be off, and we'd all sat there as a family.
Yeah.
And we would talk.
Yeah, I wouldn't have this phones at the table or anything else these days.
And weren't allowed phones, had to talk, no alcohol, and and just be present with each other.
Yeah, say discuss your day, say what you've done. I want to hear what you've done for the day and be interested. But a lot of my clients just aren't. They're sadly, I'd say financially, they give them everything they desire, but they don't get the love.
But it's the love. It's the love and connection that's missing that allows them to accelerate.
It's sad. And quite a lot of them go off the rails as well.
Is there anything that you've had to like miss out on in life that you regret missing out on?
No,
Nothing.
no. I've worked hard. Your mother's worked very hard. We've achieved a reasonable home and living. We're fairly comfortable now.
Good, profitable.
And it's life's good. Still working now.
Yeah.
Still doing jobs all the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sit down and vegetate. It's the death knell.
No, that's another thing, that your work ethic. I think I've got your work ethic. But when it comes to like wanting to do stuff and wanting to go out and do more in life.
Yeah. Well, I was working outside last night. About 9:45 I finished.
But it gives you purpose. You need that purpose. Yeah. You need something that lights you up. I'd say you work longer hours now than when you were at work.
Yeah, no, I do. It sounds retired as a joke, really, because I don't get much recreation time, really. This recreation for me, because I was already working this morning.
What do you reckon to me as a podcaster?
Very good, I think. Yeah.
Ask all right questions, do I?
I wouldn't know with regards to questions. I wouldn't have the foggiest idea. I'm surprised you want to have a podcast with me, because I can't see any value in my comments, really.
There's a lot of value, and there's a couple of reasons why I think there's a lot of value. I think one, because you are the quote unquote definition of success in my life. You are, because how you treat my mum, how you looked after my sister, how the wisdom and the knowledge that you've instilled in my head, and the self-belief that I have in me at core level, because there's a very big difference between confidence, which can be shattered on the external of someone, and self-belief that's ingrained. My belief in myself is ingrained, and you ingrained that in me. So when people listen to me on a podcast and hear me speak and the way that I'm convicted in what I do, that comes from you. So I wanted to connect this audience with the understanding of where that comes from.
Yeah.
Which is you, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to listen to this at any time in our lives, and without being morbid about it. Either I'm going to die first or you're going to die, and I want this conversation to live on beyond us, you know. And I think that it's something that it's been a very beautiful moment in my life to be able to do this with you, because obviously it took me 5 years to even learn how to articulate the conversation, to be able to have the depth of conversation I've had today, you know. And I think more people need to do this. And also another thing is that other podcasters wouldn't do it, and the reason they wouldn't do it is because what they present to the world isn't their ultimate truth. And the way I present myself to the world is because you taught me to always present who you are, right?
Yeah.
And you know that this conversation is who I am.
Yeah.
Everyone else knows who I am. And that's why I can bring you on my podcast, because it's congruent, right?
Well, I've always told you never to be false.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And I say respect people, male, female, whatever. I've never gone against anybody, whatever race, religion, creed, or colour. Everybody gets the same respect, as far as I'm concerned.
You taught me that from a young age. Yeah. Yeah. And you've taught me so much, you know, like standing on my morals, standing on doing what I'm saying I'm going to do, everything else about it, like the drive, the ambition, the want to succeed, the want to be more in life. All of that comes from you, and you know, from my mum as well, you know. So I just appreciate everything that you've done for me, and
That's nice.
it's beautiful to like sit down with you and do this. You know, it means a lot to me.
Well, it's very flattering, that is, really. I'll say you don't consider you've done anything special, but if that's the way it's affected you, it's nice.
Well, what could be more successful in this world as a man than standing on business, generating money, and building property portfolio for his family, allowing his wife to, whether she can either work or not work, but she's always supported and loved, to have 2 children that have gone on to do what, equally what is, I believe, quote, Caroline is a mum. That is success to me.
Yeah.
That is success.
Yeah, she works very, very
She
hard.
works hard.
Mm.
Like I'm doing what I'm doing. I believe, to a certain
Well, you
extent.
see, she goes to work to support extra treats for the family and to give the children all the things like
Yeah.
swimming lessons and
And that is,
basketball,
and that is success.
volleyball and
But
netball, all the different games that Amelia wants to do. But unfortunately, these days at school, everything you want to do comes at a cost.
yeah. And that's what I'm aspiring to do. I see what you've done in the family and how you've looked after everyone, and I aspire to do that for this family on from that as well. With everything I do, and when I sell my business and I've got other stuff planned, and it's all very much driven to the same end goal as what you are, but just in a different niche, in a different type. And I massively respect you for that. I wouldn't say that on here, and like I said, thank you for everything you've given me, because this audience wouldn't have this podcast. I wouldn't have this voice in the world if it hadn't been for you. So I appreciate that on so many levels.
Well, you're very welcome.
And I like to finish the podcast with this, because I finish every podcast with this, but I think it'd be powerful from you. It's like, if there's one golden pearl of wisdom that you could just leave and impart on this audience that would move every single one of them from today 1% further forward, what would that be to you?
Always be trustworthy and give respect, and you'll get it back.
Love that. Love that. Love you. Appreciate you on every level, as always.
You.
And guys, I hope you've gained a real insight into like my family values, where everything comes from in my life, where my self-belief, where my drive comes from, where my moral standings come from when it comes to like how you operate with a woman, how I'll operate with my children in future, how I'll try and operate in business, in life, everything like that. Why I'm traveling the world doing this, why I'm trying to put this together for you. So many of you out there have got a beautiful family and perhaps don't give them the time that they deserve. I'd like you to give them more time. And so many of you might not be as lucky to have certain people in your life. Might not still have your father, might not have your mother, but whatever you do have, make sure you're making the most of it. And I hope this adds value and moves you forward in your business and your life. And if you truly get this conversation will really take you to another level, because this isn't just about your family. It's how it connects into every other area of your life, and how you can put it together to make a picture so that when you get to what you think is the destination, you're as fulfilled as what my dad is. Because my dad's fulfilled in all areas of his life, because he's got the family, he's got the wife, he's got his children, he's got the grandchildren, he's created enough wealth for his family, and he's put it all together. And that was what he wanted to do. So get it straight today, how you want your life to look, how you want to impact the world moving forward. And then from then on, you can get it dialed and you can create that and do exactly what he's done for his family and his life and for his children. So as always, subscribe to this channel. Leave me a review on this podcast. I hope this moves you forward in every area of your life, and much love.